Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin. Today I wanted to bring you guys a quick guide on territories and settlements in New World and what is actually going to be the best ones to get early game, what bonuses they give, what are the best mid game ones, and which are going to be the best late game. We're going to go through kind of all of the different bonuses that each territory gives to you, as well as kind of like where the situational and positional advantages are going to be based on which part of the game the server is in, and obviously a few things that we've heard from New World officially going forward, things like server mergers and all that kind of good stuff, and where you want to be sort of sat when you're settled into the server after the first couple of months, where's going to be a good position to hold down. I'm going to hopefully give you guys some new information that you might not have already known about before today's video, so make sure you stay tuned for that and let's jump into it here. So the first thing, obviously we've got the full scale of the map here. You guys can see, again, I will leave these resources linked in the bottom, as well as the patch notes, which I'm going to go into in a moment. They will all be linked in the description down below. Now, obviously, your early game stuff, you're going to be looking down here towards the starting zones. You've obviously got Everfall, you've got Windswood, you've got Monarch's Bluff, and you've got First Light. Now, straight away, most people will know that Windswood and Everfall are probably your best two settlements, early to mid, even maybe late game, because these guys are right in the middle of the map, which is a super useful situational position in terms of where people are going to be using it as kind of like a hub of the world. They're going to be doing all their trading, crafting, and stuff like that in the center, which is a really, really good thing, because it means all the tax money that you're going to get off that is going to be able to fund your company to obviously upgrade the settlement, buy other stuff off the marketplace with that cash, and all manner of other good stuff when you've got that gold. But one thing to note, especially mid to late game, is that these, particularly Everfall and Windswood, are going to be quite highly competed against. So people are going to attack you a lot when you've got these settlements, because basically they're two of the best in the game. So it is going to be worth getting them if you can, but be prepared to defend these, because people are probably going to try and take them every time they can possibly do so. So moving into it here, obviously, Windswood is probably going to be your best bet early on. It's a nice settlement right down here. You've also got, just over to the side, you've got the Hermit's Shrine, which is where a lot of the early story main quests have to actually be handed in. You've got to keep going backwards and forwards. Anyone who's played through the story already knows this is a pain. You've got to keep going back to this guy. Luckily, there's a fast travel point there, but it does mean that a lot of people just generally do side missions, gathering, refining, crafting, all that good stuff in Windswood early on. Particularly as well as you've got the Amarine Excavation, which is just up here, and obviously that's in the zone as well. It's got the Barkamedes quest, which you can get from level 23 onwards, so you can keep repeating that quest, which means that people are going to be doing a lot of activities in this area, and probably just using Windswood as a bank, because it's easy to run back to from there. So it's going to be a very popular city, settlement, whatever you want to call it, very early on. And probably up till mid-late game as well. It's always going to be a really good one. If you look at the actual city itself, it's actually got the river running through the middle, which means for anyone who is doing Arcana training, it's going to be the best city in the game to do, because you don't have to wait for the water well. You can literally just go into the river in the middle and collect water whenever you need it. Again, for cooking, this is really good. So those two skills are excellent to do out of Windswood, which makes this a really good leveling place as well as anything else. So it's going to be a really, really good opportunity. Now, obviously, Everfall, if your servers are anything similar to mine, in the beta, Everfall pretty much became the hub of the server, meaning that a lot of people gravitated towards the center of Everfall, probably because mainly it's got a lot of stuff going on. It was a nice looking area. There's a lot of good resources, mining particularly in this top section, hemp and farming resources all down here, and then you've also got the Starstone expedition just down here as well, the Shattered Obelisk, which is something that you can then go on to, which is a level 35 one. Now, the Amarine one, which is in Windswood's area, is a story quest. The Starstone one is not, but generally most people are going to be going through these expeditions anyway, because first of all, they're fun, and second of all, they give a lot of XP, so chances are you'll have people doing it either way, but just be aware that this one isn't a story quest, so it's not a prerequisite to carry on with the story. But that being said, Everfall is really, really good. It's got a lot of good connections to pretty much every other city on the map. If we scroll out here, you can get to Weaver's Fen, Reekwater, Windswood, Monarch's Bluff, Ebenskill Reach, Brightwood, all from this one area, which is really, really nice. And it does mean that you're going to have a lot of traffic coming this way, moving through it at the very least, so it's going to be a really good advantageous position, like I said there, particularly for getting gold, but you probably are going to get attacked quite a lot from that. Now, obviously, Monarch's Bluff and First Light are the other two starting zones. Both of these are decent areas, but First Light for me is too far out. I don't think it's worth getting. There's a lot of sea, not really anywhere to go from down here, and really people don't tend to go back down there once they've done the first quest, so you're not really going to be getting that much traffic in this area. Monarch's Bluff is a little bit more doable. It's got a lot of good resource runs in, and it connects to a little bit to Ebonskill Reach, Everfall, Windswood, and Cutlass Keys, and obviously just a little bit into First Light there as well, which makes this quite a good, advantageous location. I'd say Windswood's your first best bet, second should be Everfall, and probably third Monarch's Bluff. It's a very decent area to get, and particularly if you want in the buffs, which we'll just quickly go on to and look at now. So if we go on to this update here from New World, which is actually from April 2021, so it's from when the alpha, before the beta came out, where they added in faction control points. Now, these basically mean that the forts were added into the game. Each faction can take control of the fort, regardless of who owns the settlement, and you get a 5% increase to XP and a 20% increase to influence gain within that territory when your faction owns the fort. Now, each of these forts also has a unique global buff that is provided to the controlling faction. So, First Light, for example, reduces your fast travel weight costs from 5 Azoth per 10 weight down to 1 Azoth per 10 weight for the controlling faction. So even if you don't want to control First Light settlement yourself as a faction, hopefully you've got some allies that do, because that's going to be a really, really useful one. Same with Monarch's Bluff, reduces fast travel distance costs from 5 Azoth per 100 meters down to 1 Azoth per 100 meters, meaning that you're going to have a big range of motion with this. Again, if you don't want Monarch's Bluff yourself, even though it's a decent one, hopefully one of your allies gets it, or at least somebody else in your faction, because that is going to be very, very useful early on too. And there's all sorts of different ones. I will leave this linked in the description, like I said at the start, so you guys can check this out for yourself. But there's a ton of good stuff. Windswood increases the volume of items gained when gathering by 5%. Everfall reduces trading taxes by 5% for the controlling faction. Brightwood reduces housing taxes by 5%. Cutlass Keys reduces base Azoth cost of fast travel by 50%. So that's a really, really good one. Weaver's Fen increases coin, experience, territory standing, and faction token rewards from faction missions by 5%. Restless Shore increases coin, experience, faction token rewards from corrupted breaches by 5%. Morningdale increases coin and experience rewards from expeditions by 5%, so it's going to be really good mid to late game. Ebonskill Reach reduces refining taxes by 5%, and Reekwater reduces crafting taxes by 5%. So as you can see, they've all got their own unique bonus there, and they are all very, very good and basically really helpful to have control of. So even if you don't want it yourself, you're probably going to want to help your allies either take it or defend it or whatever it is, because generally they all give very good bonuses which are really, really going to help you out in the game. And I didn't know about this until after the beta, and once I found out about this, I was like, I wish I'd known about it, because it makes a lot more sense why certain territories are a lot more fought after. Now, that being said as well, it does make a big impact on which ones you want to take in terms of company size, PvP prowess, how much gear you guys have got, because realistically some of these are going to be fought over a lot more, like Everfall giving you a reduction to trading taxes by 5%, as well as it being a central hub. A lot of people are going to want to take this one over, so if you've not got as many people in your faction, or you've not got as many people in your company that you can help you with PvP events or wars, then you maybe want to back out of Everfall and maybe hope that someone else that's got a bit more power in your faction can take it over, or maybe you just want to try and control it anyway. It's completely up to you guys, but just bear in mind, if you are trying to strategically place yourselves, one of the better ones, Cutlass Keys, reducing the cost of Azoth, and as we can see on the map, it's all the way down here in the bottom left, so it's less likely that people will consistently attack this. And Weaver's Fen is another really good one for mid-game that's going to be able to give you coin, experience, territory standing, and faction token rewards from faction missions by 5%, and that's going to be a really, really useful perk. And again, Weaver's Fen is kind of out here to the side, which is really, really useful, because it means that when people are trying to attack, it's kind of in an awkward situation. It's kind of central, similar to Brightwood, so it's quite a good one to have, but less people are likely to attack you here, rather than somewhere like Windswood and Everfall, which is slightly easier to defend, and they are lower level zones. So obviously that's what I'm going to move into here, is mid-level zones, and that's going to be Weaver's Fen, it's going to be Brightwood, Restless Shore, and of course Morningdale. You've got Ebonskill Reach over here. This is a 60 zone, same with Reekwater, and then Eden's Grove, Shattered Mountains, and Great Cleave you cannot claim. These are unclaimable areas, so when you are looking to go into these zones when you get to level 60 or 55 plus, you're going to want to make sure that you set your inn at one of these inn locations up the top here, and obviously of course make sure that you get in these fast travel shrines, because these areas you can't get back to by owning the town or anything like that, or a house, because these are unclaimable settlements, which means that you only can use the fast travel or the inn. So I'd recommend setting it in up here when you do get to that late game stage as well. Now, looking at these mid-level territories, Brightwood is probably your best option because you're smack bang in the middle. A lot of the main story quest takes you through this area, and so when people get to the required level for that, they tend to hang around in Brightwood quite a lot. In the beta, for me, on the EU servers, there was a lot of PvP in Brightwood because people got to around level 30 to 40 and were kind of testing out their builds, all that kind of good stuff. So this was a really, really good area to be in. So it's probably going to be the same going forward. Again, Weaver's Fen was very similar to that and was very, very popular. So that's a really good one to have. Rest of the Shore wasn't as popular, but was a really, really good location, especially up this top part right here. If we zoom in on the map, all of this kind of top area here is really, really good for resources, particularly hemp, iron, all of that good stuff. There's tons of it up here, as well as tons of mobs for skinning. So if you do want to get any of those skills up, it's a really good location to be in. There's a nice fast travel shrine just up here as well before you get to all of the dryads just down here. So again, that's going to be a really, really good one. Rest of the Shore, really nice zone. And finally here, Morningdale, really nice zone. Kind of out of the way at the moment as well. If you look at the map, there looks like there could potentially be roads here that are going to eventually spring off this into another territory or something. Maybe even overseas islands or something like that. We don't know. But for right now, it's a good location. It's out of the way. It's one of the only places that attaches to Eden's Grove. Again, you can't get in there. You've got to walk up or fast travel up or, you know, use an inn or whatever, because you can't just get there by fast traveling to the settlement because these are not ownable. So it does mean that it's going to be a more valuable place because it's going to be close by. Same with Ebonscale Reach when you get into these high level zones, because it does go into Great Cleave. But that is why Brightwood for a mid zone is really good as well, because it connects to these high level zones, and it's kind of a straight path all the way up to Shattered Mountains and Great Cleave, and you can just veer off a little bit to Eden Grove. So it's a really nice advantageous location. In terms of which is least likely to get attacked, probably Morningdale, then Rest of the Shore, then Weaver's Fen, and then Brightwood. Brightwood and Weaver's Fen were highly contested for me in the beta, and I would assume this will be similar going forward because people tend to like these locations. They're pretty good areas to be in, so I'm not really surprised by that, and I think that people are probably going to fight over those a bit more, particularly mid-game. And then late game, obviously you've got Ebonscale's Reach, and you've got Reekwater. These are kind of like your level 60 zones, but they're all the way back down here. So I think, to be honest, even in late game, Brightwood is going to be a very pivotal location to actually get control of. So I think you're going to see a lot of people fighting over that one. And again, with Weaver's Fen for the exact same reason. Morningdale, really nice up and out the way, and Ebonscale Reach. I don't think many people are going to go for Reekwater just because it's a high level zone. Really out of the way down here. Not much going on. There's a couple of dungeons, but other than that, it's not really an awful lot happening there. So I would probably see people going for Ebonscale much more than that. So that is going to cover it for today's video. Hopefully you guys have found it useful understanding the different territories, which ones I think are going to be the best for early, mid and late game, as well as what the bonuses are for owning each of these territories, so that can help you make your choice. Strategical position obviously comes into play, as well as the strength of your company, but you guys can make those decisions in game. Hopefully this guide kind of just helps you to summarize that and kind of weigh up your options and which ones give the best benefits versus which ones are most likely to be attacked. If you found today's video useful, you've learned something new, then please leave a like on it down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more New World content. We're uploading every single day, so make sure you've got those post notifications turned on so you don't miss an upload. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching. Take care and peace.